News Bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, the 28th of February, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, is reporting oil leaking from a capsized barge off the coast of Tobago has spread hundreds of miles to reach Bonaire, located 50 miles north of the Venezuelan coastline. Officials in Bonaire said the oil posed a serious threat to both humans and nature. Authorities in Bonaire warned the island's mangrove, fish, and coral ecosystems were presently at risk. Two cruise ships have docked in Trinidad. They are Seven Seas Splendor with 709 cruise visitors and the Royal Caribbean Jewel of the Seas with 2,344 passengers. 667 persons from the Jewel of the Sea and 587 from Seven Seas Splendor will enjoy their pre-booked tours yesterday, Tuesday, while others were entertained portside and had the opportunity to explore capital city Port of Spain and purchase craft and local artisans. A house fire in Laventille left 7 people homeless yesterday. The fire began shortly after 1 p.m. at a house located Fort Picton off Picton Road in Laventille. The house was divided into 2 apartments, with one family occupying the upstairs apartment and other 2 relatives, Josiah and Cheryl and Felix, living in the lower level. Ojaman Pierce, 40, said he and his wife, Mavia Felix, live upstairs with their 3 children, ages 12, 11, and 1. He said around 1 p.m. he was doing tasks outside and did not notice an out-of-control bushfire inching toward the property. He said the bushfire spread to a derelict wooden structure in the yard and quickly jumped onto the main house. He had no choice but to call for help. When the fire services arrived, the building had already been consumed as officers encountered difficulty getting to the house because of where it was located. They ensured the fire did not spread to other homes. Losses are put in the thousands. KFC lovers will now have to fork out more money for their favorite meals. This because of price adjustments between 3 to 5% have been implemented. The last price increase was in December 2023, which was between $1 and $2. This confirmed by Prestige Holdings Chief Executive Officer Simon Hardy, who spoke to the media yesterday. Hardy explained that prices increases was due to the increase in the minimum wage, which took effect on January 1st, as well as price increases from suppliers. He said, quote, "The main jump for us was the minimum wage, as we employ 3,300 people. We've only made changes on February 22nd, but inevitably, a business such as ours cannot, with an employee base as ours, hold those prices forever." On Monday, Prestige Holdings Limited declared audited after-tax profits of $55.9 million for the financial year ending November 30th, 2023, an increase of 57.7% over the $35.5 million the restaurant company earned for the same period in 2022. The Ministry of Works and Transport says concerns raised by representation of Route 2 maxi taxi drivers on Monday are actively engaging the attention of the ministry at this time. The concerns include establishment of a clear policy from the ministry relating to the management of Citygate maxi taxi section and the need for next of kin guidelines relating to the priority bus route licenses and demerit points. The ministry said the matters identified via the media is actively engaging the attention of the ministry with the aim to ensure transparency, accountability, and equity to all stakeholders, and signals its commitment to continuing dialogue on the matter as it works to determine an amicable outcome. The general public is advised that the hunting season in Trinidad and Tobago is officially closed as of today, Wednesday. This in accordance with the Conservation of Wildlife Act chapter, which states the season runs from April 1st to September 30th. According to a grace period throughout the month of March is allowed for the disposal of any prohibited meat articles during the closed period. Sony has announced it will lay off 8% of its PlayStation employees globally, accounting to approximately 900 people. In addition to cutting in the US and Japan, the gaming giant said it would mean closing PlayStation London studio entirely. In a blog post sharing an email to its employees, boss Jim Ryan called the move sad news. He said it was a difficult day for the company. Cuts came a month after rival Microsoft revealed plans to lay off 1,900 people at its gaming division, which included the recently acquired Activision Blizzard. And finally, the Trinidad Tobago Football Association has apologized to its fans who were not able to access the CONCACAF Men's Under-20 qualifier between Trinidad and Tobago and Canada on Tuesday, 27th February 2024, which was yesterday, due to a safety control and challenges at the entrance gate. TNT lost that match 3-0 to Canada. The TTFA has launched an in-depth review and will ensure all necessary steps are taken to facilitate a smooth and friendly fan experience at the upcoming friendly versus Jamaica and World Cup qualifiers beginning in June at home to Grenada. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It is 7 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this, the 28th day of February. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. It is World Spay Day for those that have pets, cats and dogs and so on. It's World Spay Day. All right. And the importance of having your pet spayed is very, very important. All right, but thank you so much for joining us on the show, full casting. You just heard from Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen. We got Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben. We got Shane. My name is Steve Khan. All right, 21 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 23 at Crown Point in Tobago. Traffic-wise, San Fernando got nothing to tell you about. Chase Village, you've got some traffic. And just after Chaguanas, you're going to get traffic to the interchange, volume, and then heavier by Swim Call. Trin City to UE, you've got the traffic there as ready. Volume towards Valencia bypass if you're coming from Grande. All right. Let me say good morning, good night to Paul Richards. Good morning to you, my friend.
Morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone, this Wednesday morning.
Yep, good morning to you. And let's say good morning going out to a few people on Facebook and YouTube. Oliver Man Warren, Anthony Tinto out in Canada, Maria Celia, Edwin Marshall, good morning. Rena Boodoo Jennings, Garth Celia out in Valencia, Wendy and James, Ewart Rajpal, DJ Ray, that's Renu Halasi out in Tampa, Brenda Isaac, she's saying, good morning from a cold Santa Cruz. Yeah, there you go. It's a bit chilly up there.
Very cold these nights and mornings.
I'm not complaining. Brenda Isaac.
Very cold these nights and mornings. Quite cold.
Wayne B. in Trin City, CJ New York, Boy Bedesi, Gloria Gray, Mo Gaines out in Aruca, Trinidad Margot, John Cato, good morning to you, KM, morning, Nikisha Pear, Dennis Passard, Slick Money Grip, Evans David, good morning to you. On WhatsApp, let's say good morning going out to, let's see, Dan Raj is saying good morning. We have got, who's this here? This looks like Val. Val, morning to you. Michael out in London. Good morning. Sankofa, good morning. Thank you so much for hitting us up this hour of the morning. Except for Michael in London, it's getting close to lunch. All right. Yeah. So it's getting a bit chilly. I have no problems with that.
Morning, Starboy.
Good morning. Oh, sorry.
Morning, Paul. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Richard. And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and listeners and viewers. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're happy to be in the land of the living. How are you guys doing? Why are both of you all in blue today? Am I supposed to wear blue?
Yeah, go and get a blue shirt. Go and get a blue shirt.
I actually wore blue on Monday, but when I looked at the camera, it didn't come over as blue.
Mm.
It didn't show up.
The NT looking for candidates, you know. So
yeah, go and put on your blue shirt.
Oh yes, I see. I see why you all are wearing blue. You want to fool poor Gary. A lot of people fooling him. Poor fella.
Well, I saw Mrs. Pasabi Sessa said that um, the UNC will not be disrespected by third parties. So they need to be respectful of the UNC.
Well, he responded, eh?
What did he say?
What
Gary,
did you say?
you didn't, don't tell me you didn't get it.
No, I didn't. UNC leader Kamala Pasabi Sessa has warned third parties that while her party is open to working with others, she will not allow her members to be disrespected, and smaller parties must also carry their weight and not play the fool with the 300,000 strong UNC.
Yeah,
I wonder where that came from.
Well, I don't know, because it clearly was targeted towards him, because he's been the only third party that has been really vocal lately. You don't hear anything from anybody else. You understand? So who else could it have been targeted towards?
No, I saw the Hope and COP married the other day.
Did I stoop loud enough?
I thought if you stoop saying loud, you'd have no teeth in front.
Yeah, really.
Gary, this is NTA's response. It says, well, I wouldn't read the entire thing, because Gary does write a long missives, right? The NTA reiterates its firm stance as a formidable political entity poised to make significant strides in the upcoming general elections. Unlike some counterparts who seem mad in internal discord and misguided strategies, the NTA remains steadfast in its commitment to unity and progress. It was disheartening to witness the recent rhetoric from the opposition leader, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar of the UNC, who appears to have forgotten the importance of inclusivity and collaboration in our political landscape. Her divisive remarks and dismissive attitude towards third parties are not only regressive, but also reminiscent of past failures. He had a lot more to say.
Would they follow it again?
Well, clearly.
This is tiring.
Clearly. But I have to admit, though, that Gary is right in that the UNC will not win an election if they don't pull in those other parties. They will not. They will not capture the East-West corridor. No, never. Okay? And this is despite a lot of the foolishness that the PNM doing and some of their choices of candidates. You understand? There, I said it, and I've said it before.
Like?
Huh?
Like
Who?
Por ejemplo.
Paul what?
Por ejemplo.
I could give several, but I won't.
For example, just give us three.
The PNM.
But you just said the PNM's poor choices in candidates and you don't want to qualify it. What kind of thing is that? You're not usually timid to say your opinions. Come on.
I'm waiting to see if
who?
If they change any.
So there are presently people who've won seats that you disagree with?
Yes.
Like, por ejemplo?
Well, it's not only on East-West corridor, unfortunately.
Por ejemplo?
No, you're not gonna bait me into calling any names. Oh, I do have some birthdays though. I can call those names.
Ooh, look at that segue.
Christine Niles is celebrating her birthday today. She's an ardent fan of the Power Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Christine. Happy birthday to you.
And it's coming from her darling husband, Ben Niles. When her husband could wake me up early in the morning to make sure I remember his wife's birthday, I don't know that is real love. So, Christine, it's coming from your husband, Ben, and your daughter, Nelicia. Happy birthday, and have an absolutely wonderful day. These are two good friends of mine. They visit Robbox all the time, too. Also celebrating birthday is Kenrick Harinat, my good friend from QRC, Asad Abdul Malik, Christopher Nathan, you remember Chris? He is celebrating his birthday today. April Ann Regisford, Onika Tenia, Chanel Watson, and Nedra McLean, former councillor in Porto, Spain. She is also celebrating her birthday today. Yesterday was my good friend, brother of former mayor Jacinto Martinez. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. So belated greetings, Jacinto, and anyone else who celebrated birthdays recently. Have an absolutely fantastic day. Today is
Yeah.
February what? Is it the last day of February?
Tomorrow, no, it's a leap year, my friend.
Oh, it's a leap year. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh
It
yes.
is. Let's say good morning, going to Evans, David, Adrian, Koto, KM, Chris Toussaint, Dancing Queen. I'm not going to sing it. Yazid Mohammed, good morning to you. You say, does anyone know what is going on with NIBTT? I applied for my retirement benefits in April 2022, and to this date, I haven't received my benefits. I made all my contributions. The month of January and February, the phone number is not working. For which office, Yazid? Let me see if I can help you out here. Rina Bodu Jennings, good morning. She's saying Prestige Holdings have no shame declaring huge profits by raising price of their greedy chicken because of the rise in minimum wage. Okay. Josie Richardson, Rina Bodu Jennings, CPT Singh, Sabita, Royalty Forever, Show and Kerr. All right, morning. Yeah. Yazid, I need some information. Send me on our WhatsApp number all the information. 318-1021. 318-1021. Let me see if I can help you out a little bit there. All right.
I'm sending something for you, Paul. I don't read nothing that man say or thing, but I'm sending it for you. Just you can have a good laugh at it. But our good friend Philip Alexander has already responded to Gary too. I'm sending it for you to look. I'm not gonna read it.
Why are you complaining about KFC raising the price? Are you going to buy it anyway?
Exactly.
That's why they can afford to raise it. No matter what,
They raised the price last December 2023, between $1 and $2 on some items, and they raised the price again yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to run and buy all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just KFC raised the price. It's almost all those fast foods went up lately there for the carnival. Royal Castle, everybody went up.
So Simon Hardy, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Prestige Holdings, the parent company for KFC, Pizza Hut. What else? I think TGI.
Prestige, yes.
Who else?
There's another
Starbucks.
Starbucks. I think there's
Starbucks.
Yes.
Starbucks, a couple other entities. He said the main jump for us was the minimum wage, as we employ 3,300 people. We only made the changes on February 22nd, but inevitably, a business such as ours, with an employee base such as ours, cannot hold these prices forever. Just making a little comparison, everyone thinks there's a lot of profit being made. We are a high sales business, but a low margin business. Only 4.2% of our sales is profit. So we have a lot of sales, and that's not a lot of profit. Ironically, Mr. Hardy, and KFC is the biggest, most profitable in the group, I might suggest. Would you not suggest the same?
Yeah.
On Monday, Prestige Holdings Limited declared an audited after-tax profits of $55.9 million for the financial year ending November 30th, 2023, an increase of 57.7%.
An increase of
$5.5 million the restaurant earned for the same period in 2022. So,
things that make it go.
Results for 12 months ending November 30th, 2023, Prestige Holdings generated $1.32 billion in revenue, 20% more than the $1.10 billion the company recorded for its 2022 financial year. Now, I have no problem with Prestige making money. They're not in business for charity.
True.
Or to make all your pocket lighter with increasing their prices.
True.
We were absolutely sure that Prestige Holdings and many other companies in Trinidad and Tobago, small, medium-sized, micro, big, large, were going to increase their costs because of the increase in minimum wage. Interestingly enough, interestingly enough, unless you were paying minimum wage, it may not have affected you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way it will affect you.
Yeah, if you were not.
If you're paying minimum wage, if you're paying the past minimum wage.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
If you were paying above the minimum wage, you wouldn't have to adjust anything.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it implies that you were paying minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Is my economics wrong? Is the master not saying?
You're absolutely right.
Okay. But in any case, are you going to run and buy all the chicken?
Mm-hmm.
And as I said before, Prestige Holdings and other conglomerates are in the business of making money for their shareholders.
Mm.
So run in and buy the packs. You know, good morning to the he said not really, could have paid 19 and now they have to pay 2015. Well, that's what I said. If you weren't paying 19, if you weren't paying barely minimum wage or just above it, because it only increased by about $2 or $3.
Yeah, $3.
It would never affected you.
Mm.
If you're perhaps being magnanimous and paying $24 an hour, the shift would not have affected you. But because you were paying close to, if not minimum wage, at the last iteration, it will affect you.
I'm sure most of those places were paying exactly the minimum wage, if not less.
Yeah.
You understand?
No, they can't pay less. That's against the law.
Well, some of them were breaking the law. Some of them still are.
We're talking about prestige, and that's not.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
Sticking with prestige.
Let's stick with prestige. Let's not imply that prestige is breaking the law.
Well,
Okay,
then they would have been.
Some people may interpret the conversation like that, and that's not our intention.
Yeah. So then they would have been probably paying exactly the minimum wage.
Or barely above it.
Mm-hmm.
Within the range of the increase.
Mm-hmm.
To make it look good now.
You mean $17.50 or less than $20.50?
Or less than $20.50.
Yeah.
So the man said they're making us a profit.
55 million.
That is not profit. Whatever it is a group, right? So to them that might be a big deal, but 57.7% is a big increase in profit in any part of the world. Good for you. You're the business of making money. Nobody vex. And you're all worried, Mr. Hardy, because guess what? That increase ain't going to have no impact on your sales. But just don't charge your ketchup and mustard.
And guess what, too? Those are declared profits. We all know people don't declare all the profits. Okay? That's declared profits.
I'm not reading my criminology book here. Let me read my book. Get out of that back and you try to create. Okay, right, very well. What happened at the stadium?
Yeah, I don't know. Something.
Football Association apologized to fans who were not able to access the CONCACAF Men's Under-20 qualifier between Trinidad and Tobago and Canada yesterday due to safety and control challenges at the entrance gate. I think we lost that match 3-0 or so.
3-0.
Yeah, we
lost it 3-0 to Canada.
We launched an in-depth review and will ensure all the necessary steps are taken to facilitate a smooth and friendly fan experience at our upcoming friendly against Jamaica and World Cup qualifier beginning in June at home to Grenada. Now, what are you always begging people to come to match and support the team?
But what happened?
I thought about the same thing this morning.
I don't know. But apparently some fans with legitimate tickets could not get in. TTFP advised ticket holders who did not get the opportunity to present their tickets to enter the match on Tuesday night. These physical and or unscanned digital tickets will be valid for the friendly versus Jamaica. Is it that the digital scanner wasn't working?
But why would that stop people from going in?
Because they couldn't process the tickets at the entrance.
But you want people in the stadium? Find a
way. Them has freaked me out. If it was me, and people come, and they say, every time I phone, bypass and support the team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You want people in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose so much money, or you prefer to lose face. And how much money you really lose?
Yeah.
It's like a 30,000 sold out game.
Mm-hmm.
you might get about 100 people trying to scam you. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Which is no big deal in the larger scheme of things. I don't know. Never a dull moment. Somebody is saying most businesses had to raise wages of factory paid workers $21 and are above what is so-called security level. Well, that's what we said. We said they may not have been basically minimum wage, but certainly it's within the range of what the minimum wage was increased to. And if you're paying $24 and being magnanimous, you might not be affected. But as I said, that's why I guess I'm not in business. Like, what they mean by them. They know that every cent counts. So that's how they operate.
Yeah. But what this person is saying is that they actually had to raise it even higher than the minimum wage because to keep the workers, because they would have gone elsewhere. That's what this person is saying here. That's
and the evidence for that is?
Well, the person is saying it there. They said our factory workers, our factory paid workers $21 an hour above what is so-called security level. No, well,
if they were working for $17.50 before or $18, why would they change for a $3 increase because of the change in law? Because they could get more elsewhere.
Well, yeah, well, that's what this person is kind of.
In many, if not most instances, if companies or organizations were paying above the new minimum wage, it wouldn't affect their bottom line anyway. But what I go tell you.
Yeah.
We had some cruise ships in town yesterday, 2 at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Seven Seas Splendor with 709 cruise visitors, and Royal Caribbean Jewel of the Sea, 2,344 passengers, 667 persons on Jewel of the Sea, and 587 from Seven Seas Splendor came off for pre-booked tours yesterday. Some of us didn't come into the city, but were entertained outside, portside. Of course, they put the tourism Trinidad puts on a show for all the cruise ships when they come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them, Good for them.
I wonder where the Seven Seas Splendor coming from.
Usually they come on the island chain, They come from Barbados and Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because that one is relatively small.
Yeah, that's a few hundred.
Yeah.
Red Julie says a couple thousand.
Yeah. I haven't been on a cruise in a little while, I need to
say that again. You can say that again. I need to go on one. That's the only time I can relax. Immediately. And there's people should go on a cruise. Paul should really go on a cruise.
No.
You'll have a ball.
You've never been on a cruise, Paul?
No.
Oh. You don't feel anything, Paul.
Not the type of cruise you're talking about.
They have those cruises too.
Right.
What cruises are those, Steve?
They have those cruises.
What cruises are you speaking about, Steve?
Adults only cruises.
And what do they have on those?
Multiple things.
Adult things, I guess.
Adult things.
Why would I be interested in adult cruises only?
It's you said it.
Because sometimes little children running through you while you're relaxing is not the ideal thing,
Virgin Cruise is adults only, but it is not like what we're thinking of.
Yeah. Go Hawaii. Do the Hawaiian cruise. I did that.
Yeah. And adults cruises, they have singles bar.
They have no malls on cruise ships that I like. So.
Oh yes, they do. They have lots of shopping on a cruise ship. Trust me.
They do. They do.
I mean, it's cheaper to buy things outside a cruise ship, but yes, you can shop.
Yeah. But as we were talking about fast food and so on, I don't know if you all read the comments. I don't know if you all may have dealt with it yesterday. I didn't get to listen to you all at all. The comments of the Minister of Health, Terrence Diaz.
Who is messaging me right now?
Is he?
Yeah. Well, that's.
Let's tell him. Let's call him. Let's
that's
call him now. Tell him,
coincidental.
call. We're calling him.
You
But
can
I
call him
found
out
his
now.
comments
Because-
very
because-
interesting.
Because he's
Very,
messaging
very
me, right?
interesting.
Tell
And
me,
factual.
he started a walkabout and he was in the area yesterday and said he stopped in front of my house and no one answered. I told him I was sound asleep. He threatened to commit vandalism by saying he'd rain down big stone on my house next time. I said, is that a threat of vandalism? Morning, Ragoobarsingh. See how quick that was?
Yeah, you were super quick this morning.
What the hell? All you in Gary colors this morning.
See?
Super
I
quick.
tell you, and you're looking for candidates, we all in blue.
Gary Griffin will be proud to watch this program this morning.
Let's change it and make it more equal and put the odd one out. Right.
Yeah, leave me down below. I am red all through. I'm just in a white jersey today, but I ain't moving from that red.
White is not COP.
Well, yeah, but I just saying I'm wearing white, but everybody knows I'm red.
No,
Now
you're
they could clearly identify you three as part of that third party that have to
No, they
respect.
cannot. No, they
that has
cannot.
to respect
No,
the
they
300,000
cannot.
people.
No, they cannot.
But they can identify him as COP, who now linking
Yeah.
up with Hope.
Yeah. And so he came up with hope. That we doing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Three of you all need to respect the 300,000 people. That's what you all need to do. They're too disrespectful. Oh, jeez. Yes.
I don't see us.
Did you all see? I don't know. I can't play it because it's just too disturbing to watch. I think I may have shared it with some of you.
I know
The
what
video of that U.S. serviceman
Oh gosh, I saw that yesterday.
who set himself ablaze.
I saw that.
His name
Is
is
that
Aaron
The Israeli embassy.
but Bushnell, sorry. He was an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force. He died on Sunday after setting himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. in an act of protest against what he described as the genocide in Gaza. His last words were "Free Palestine." The video shows him walking in front of the embassy, emptying a canister of what clearly was an accelerant on himself, and dipping into his pocket and pulling out a lighter. And he started shouting "Free Palestine" and set himself ablaze. He stood very long while on fire, engulfed with flames.
Yeah.
You know what was disturbing about that to me, in addition to the man taking his own life? That while people were begging and shouting, "Bring an extinguisher," one person found that he had to pull a gun and keep it pointed at him
I saw
through the
that.
entire experience. As
Yeah.
if this man posed a threat to somebody else.
Yeah.
And this person, while this man was burning to death on the ground and people trying to extinguish him, kept this gun pointed at this man, even while he was immobile and clearly, at that point, I presume, if not death, close to death. And he felt his action, maybe that's how they trained him, I don't know, was to point this gun at this man through this whole experience. The gun pointing was just so bizarre to me.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw that too, I couldn't understand why he was pointing a gun at him, unless he felt the man would have run and grab onto him or something. I just couldn't understand it.
While burning himself to death on the ground.
But that's what I'm saying.
That was too. He did eventually pass away, but that I
it's a
just put
horrible
my
video.
hand over my
It's a
mouth
horrible
going,
video.
whoa.
And he stood up for so long.
He did.
That was very, very disturbing. I can't play it, so don't ask to play it. I can't. It is too disturbing to be played.
Yeah, it is. It is very disturbing.
Yeah. Okay. I need to send a message out. Yazid Mohammed with the NIBTT issue. I need for you to call me immediately. Call me at I'll answer the phone. 222 talk. If you could call me immediately, that's Yazid Mohammed with the NIBTT issue. All right. Actually have someone on that I want to talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Edward.
Richard, I think your mic is off,
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, if we go to the Express, even before we do the front pages, Anna Ramdas has written a story that was published an hour ago, whose headline is Gary, colon, Kamala farce. And I should read the story for you if you all don't mind.
Go right ahead.
A rift seems to be brewing between the opposition leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and the National Transformation Alliance leader, Gary Griffith. Without calling names, Persad-Bissessar has charged that small parties must work hard and not demand any positions. And she will not tolerate any disrespect to the United National Congress members. She said further that the UNC's executive is an elected body, unlike parties where leaders appoint themselves and name deputies without election. Shots fired. Although she did not call names, it was apparent that Persad-Bissessar was talking about the NT and Griffith, with whom the UNC had partnered with to fight the local government elections last year. Griffith told the Express yesterday that Persad-Bissessar is not the problem, but she was fast and out of place to make comments about other parties and the executive. He said further that the issue is UNC Senator and Deputy Leader Julian John, who believes the UNC has the mettle to win the general elections on its own. Speaking at the UNC Monday meeting at Presal Secondary School, Persad-Bissessar said UNC members are not sheep who can be disrespected, adding that her kindergarten members are critical to the party's successes. So smaller parties must work hard and bring something to the table. They must be willing to work and carry their weight. It can't be that the UNC supporters must be sheep, must do everything. The UNC must host the events. The UNC must provide the resources. The UNC must bring the supporters, bring the sheep, and then those organizations want to come and swing in and stand up on the platforms and talk. You must carry your weight. We're a strong party with over 300,000 plus supporters. Don't play the fool with us. We respect our memberships, he said.
But she herself is disrespecting her membership by calling them sheep. She describing her members as sheep. Bring the sheep.
Griffith responds, speaking to the Express by phone yesterday, and asked if he requested a political position from Persad-Bissessar. Griffith said the same way Persad-Bissessar was fast and out of place to question political parties about the executives, the same way he would be fast and out of place to make such a request to her influence her removal of duly appointed person. He said Persad-Bissessar is starting to operate like Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Government Minister Fitzgerald Hines, where someone mentions information to discredit others, but no names are called. He said Persad-Bissessar should call names and not make wild accusations. Goes on to say more, but
oh dear.
Political bedfellows.
And then I saw a release.
The quarrels that ensue. You know.
Richard, your vocals not in sync with your picture.
You mean okay. You know what I could do? I could come out and try and join again. Maybe that'll fix it.
Yeah. I don't know if you're actually looking at yourself and seeing it.
Your system is not accustomed operating this early, so it kind of get accustomed.
Yes, no.
So that is the saga.
Mm-hmm.
Never a dull moment. First they're out, then they're in. Now they have a little tiffet scene. But guess what? This too will pass.
Yeah, that was it. They'll all find a way to work it out to get to uproot the PNM. They'll all find a way. They did it for local and they enjoyed some measure of success as they want to say. They'll do it again for general
Politics.
That's if Mrs. Persad-Bissessar survives any leadership challenges, because we're hearing about potential leadership challenges to her.
You're hearing about those? I'm not hearing about those. Clearly,
Yeah.
elucidate us.
Yeah.
Tell us more, Wendell. Please.
Yeah, I got a message from someone about Rushton Parry, who I think is a pretty decent person. I always said that. The member of parliament for Mayaru. But I don't know if he has leadership qualities, but I know he's well liked by the people in that area. You understand? and I'm speaking about people of all political persuasions. But you were hearing about him being interested. I'm sure Dr. Munilal is still interested. Dr. Botiwari was interested at one point in time. We haven't seen or heard from him in a long time.
Dr. Botiwari is a member of the UNC.
He was?
I thought he was COP.
Nah, all of them had joined with the UNC. And Roberts was a COP who joined the UNC. All of them.
I can't keep up.
Exactly. But they'll all find a way to come together. And trust me, they will. Trust me, they will.
This squabble shall pass.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
I'm not
this
even
squabble
taking them on with the
shall
nonsense
pass.
right
This shall also pass. See, we didn't get on to Minister Dalsing.
No.
Never a dull moment. Sean Paul, the Grammy Award-winning dancehall artist, has advised Trinidad artists that singing about violence brings it into your life.
Yeah.
What that means?
I don't know that we needed
He's
Sean Paul to say
advising
that.
Trinidad artists to strike a balance with their music instead of focusing only on negative. He made the statement after he was asked about the situation facing Trinidad artist Kashif Cayman Six Sanka, who had been banned from performing in Grenada, Guyana, and several other regional territories after surviving a deadly drive-by shooting on his return to TNT after performing in neighboring Barbados. Sanka was recently charged. He was?
Yes.
With being affiliated to a gang. Okay. He can't keep up with these things sometimes.
Yeah, he was charged.
Appearing at the Island Music Conference on Saturday for a one-on-one conversation with Jamaican publicist and co-founder Judith Bodley, he was asked again about the situation and any possible advice he could offer artists in that position. He said, people will do what you want to do, what them want to do. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink, you see. Man can only tell the truth when we know. Writing and singing and speaking about violence brings it into your life. More so, all I can say, he must weigh him life and the people around him and his family and know what steps he can take. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know why we needed Sean Paul to say that.
I don't think we have this. People have said it many times, but Sean Paul is not the only person saying it. He's just one person with a high profile saying it. You understand? People don't seem to realize that listening to music is a very powerful influence, and particularly the minds and lives of young people and behaviors in some instances.
Yeah. That's why when I'm ready, I put on my Andrea Bocelli and I'm loud and I just soak myself in his.
I put on my Maria Goretti, sing out my soul to the Lord. For only he understands.
Richard, what do you listen to?
He's muted. You're muted, Richard.
What's that?
What do you listen to when you want to find that peace? When you want to get that high? What music do you listen to?
Savannah Grass.
No, dance music or my friend Taylor.
I see Taylor father get in some trouble.
He found a way. That was so creative. He found a way to weave Taylor's name into the conversation. That's why he's such a brilliant writer, you know. His friend Taylor, in his mind. Anyway, 6:45. Does anyone have newspapers at their disposal?
I don't.
Let me see if I have the Guardian. No, I don't have the Guardian.
All right, let me start. It is Wednesday, the 20th of February. We will have another day in February tomorrow, would we?
Yeah. Yes.
It's a leap year, so a lot of boys are supposed to be born this year. Is that the suspicion?
So it'll be I don't know anybody who's born February 29th. Do you all?
I know 3 people who are born February 29th. Yes. And they're all very young. Anyway, let's start with the Express. Gary Kamla Fast. A rift is brewing or seems to be brewing between leader of the opposition, Mrs. Patabi Sessa, and political leader of the NTA, Gary Griffith. We read pieces of that earlier. Tobago spill causes losses. Victory for Hindus. The government's decision to temporarily ban open pyre cremations for COVID-19 victims during the pandemic has been found by the High Court to be unconstitutional. Relative of triple murder victims puzzled. Never again firefighter injured while using $1 million ladder. Corporate TNT to benefit from education support. And there are quite a few TNT boys march into Davis quarters. So that's the Express. Let's move to the Guardian online for today now. Come on, Guardian. Right. Minister Singh issues fast food warning, names and shames mega companies offering unhealthy options. 3 men gunned down in Maraval. KFC increases prices again. Current cruise season successful. Mitchell praises investment in conference facility. April 2024 opening for Sangre Grande Hospital. Biden implores Congress to avoid a government shutdown, send urgent aid to Ukraine and Israel. Bermuda launches first cancer national plan. And those are trending stories in your Guardian. Let's move to the Newsday now.
What conference facility is he talking about?
I don't know. I've moved already from the page, so.
Oh, okay.
Move back and tell you in a while. U.S. aid gives Caribbean marine life preservation $5.8 million. No long talk. THE Secretary prioritized development. St. Francis Girls wins Best Calypso Quiet Music Festival. Ministry of Energy hydrographic survey of wrecked barge completed. A model for water supply. Tobago gets 2 WASA booster stations. Judge orders customs to clear local couriers containers. That order that. Laventil stars in visit by UK TikTok influencers. Dominica PM's Carrot feels deep sense of accomplishment as CARICOM chairman term ends. UNC and NTA leaders spar over tribal politics. Open-air pyre cremation ban was discriminatory to Hindus after August 2021. And families of Maraval triple murder victims urge youth to make better choices. So those are stories trending in your Guardian, Express, and newspapers for today, Wednesday, the 28th of February, 2024.
But when the murders in Maraval, which were like what, the day yesterday, was it? Yesterday, day before.
The day before, yeah.
Yeah, but when the people who did the shooting, weren't they also killed?
I don't know.
They said it was some deal gone bad. These guys went up there to pay for something, and it's other guys who blocked them. I was hearing that yesterday.
I thought the police shot at the people who were doing the shooting. At least that was one of the reports I heard.
Well, I don't know, because they said the police arrived sometime and blocked the road, which to me implied the police were not there at the time of the shooting. But then a story earlier to me also said that the men were killed by police guns. So I don't know what to believe. I don't know what is the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the story is.
It's pretty close to the police station. I think that's what happened.
It was close to the police
Yeah,
station.
it is. Just north of the police station. It's confusing.
Yeah, the story is missing parts.
It's missing parts. All right, let's get the results of our morning poll, where we asked you yesterday, should the law be changed to force fast food retailers to display calorie counts on food and drinks sold? That was our poll yesterday. The results are in. 82%, 82 said yes.
Well, Richard, you must have been happy to hear Minister of Health talk about that, because you've been championing that cause for
years.
God knows how long.
Yeah.
He said that it should be calorie count.
Yeah, he said, didn't he go that
No,
far?
he didn't say we suggested that. He said he called them out for being contributors to the obesity issues in the country. He also said people need to take personal responsibility.
Yeah. Didn't he go further in terms of them displaying certain things?
I think he did.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
All right. So what are we going with this morning? The Bacchanal and the Gary Kamla fight?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So
Good
my
morning,
suggested question
Cupid.
is, do you think the UNC and NTA will reconcile the differences in time for the 2025 general elections? Is that amenable to you?
That's good enough.
We
That's
should,
good.
we should just do. Can we all just get along?
So that will be your question this morning. There's a rift presently
Can't we all
in the
just get
UNC
along?
and the NTA. So the question this morning, good people is sorry. Do you think the UNC and the NTA will reconcile their differences in time for the 2025 general elections? Yes or no?
So 222 talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and apps, people on the web or streaming services, whether it be LinkedIn, Insta Live, Facebook, wherever you are, YouTube, you can send your votes via the messaging portals of those respective platforms. And of course, you can also send it via WhatsApp at 318-1021.
You have to put a capital G there, Paul. That you won't believe how
Sorry,
when OCD kick in there. OCD kick in, sorry.
All right. So we got some votes coming in. But let me say hello to a few. A lot of people are messaging us this morning. Wayne Joseph, Trinity in Boston. Good morning, my dear. Mars versus Venus. Finbar Collins. Finbar Collins says no. Boy Bidesi, 200%. Yes. Karen Yipnow. Yes to the poll.
Karen brave. Karen said we're removing Kamala shortly. Karen, your UNC ship?
Gloria Gray says, oh, yes. Julia S. Batiste. Morning, Julia. Yes. All right. Dan Raj says no. JJJ says no, they will not. Let's grab this call. I have a feeling it's coming from Sangre Grande.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sangre Grande say no.
Radio, thank you. Yep, Kenny in Harlem. I say yes to the poll. Thank you, Kenny, out in Harlem. And let's see, Eve out in Sugar Gorners. Good morning to you, Eve. Have a great day. Says no. Captain Ron, somewhere in the world, says no. Thank you, Captain Ron.
We could have asked if KFC's increased prices will result in reduced sales.
100% said no.
Carlisle Cupid, I didn't call him a sheep. The leader of the UNC say she bringing the sheep.
Yeah, they did. A press release was sent out. DL says yes. John Keto, yes. All right, 6 minutes to vote. Do you think the UNC, headed by Kamala Prasad-Bissessa, and the NTA, headed by Gary Griffith, will reconcile the differences in time for the 2025 general elections? Can't we?
And you can start voting at 222 talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. We know you have an opinion, North Americans. And of course, you can also vote via the messaging portal on the respective streaming services or on WhatsApp at 868-318-1021.
Yep. Let's see. Pearl Cordes says no. Good morning, Mars versus Venus. Josie Richardson says no. Carol Guevara says yes.
This poll is as close as they could get.
Okay. Let's grab this call. Good morning, oh precious caller.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I will say no because both of them want to be prime minister, so I can't see, they not getting together. I say no. You all have a blessed day.
Mm-hmm. Right. You too, my dear. Have a great one.
Yeah, you don't understand politics and politicians.
Shubhenko says yes to poll.
By any means necessary. You ever hear that
Any-
phrase?
Yeah.
Any votes on WhatsApp, Steve?
Just not checking there. Slick Money Grip says yes. Let's see. I've got Long Islander saying no. Okay.
See, we should call Gary, you know.
Well, we have Kelvin Morris coming up next hour. Maybe we could call him after Kelvin.
What are we talking to Kelvin about?
Tobago.
Tobago issues.
Yeah. Let me call Gary and tell Gary we'll chat to him next hour. Good morning, caller.
No, nobody banned him.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, sweetheart.
That was
Thank you for
special.
that. That was fantastic.
You're welcome all the time.
Thank
So
you
it's
so much.
by
It was
the
really,
side.
I mean, you put some extra energy into that last night. You're going bad.
And knowing you like bacchanal and badness. Wendell, I don't think is the UNC she was referring to. You know, she said, "Oh, you bring all your sheep, the small parties, bring the sheep and come." So I believe it's the small parties that have the sheep. Anyhow, that is a given. Anything to fight Rowley, as they will call it. Is Dr. Rowley is who they hate. So I say that's a given. An emphatic yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank
Um,
you,
we're
Mrs.
going?
Richards.
She going?
She gone. CJ
Paul,
New York.
read over that paragraph with this word sheep for me.
CJ
Yeah.
New
Well,
York
Mrs.
says
Prasad
what's the vote?
CJ New York says yes.
Yeah, I got CJ's vote.
You gave me all that work now.
It's just one little paragraph.
I
There's
had
a
to
release
read
that was sent out, you know, that the UNC sent out. Let me see if I could find it.
Yeah. I cleared my phone this morning, so I lost that. It had no more memory. I need a new phone.
The phone like you.
And there's no memory. It's full. I have to back up everything to the cloud.
There's all those pictures and videos.
Let me tell you, all those WhatsApp pictures and videos is just full of your phone. All right. Do you think the UNC and NTA will reconcile their differences in time for the 2025 general elections? Yes or no? Right? You have a minute and a half to vote. So keep going. Of course, our poll will stay up till tomorrow morning. Guy Small, I say yes. Thank you, Guy Small. Cheryl Johnson says yes.
It was going neck and neck. It's no longer neck and neck.
Michael out in across the pond in UK says no. Thank you, Michael. Let's see. Anne-Marie, good morning. Anne-Marie says no.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Morgan says yes. John Cato said she was speaking about sheep in the days of Pandy.
The release from the Sangre Grande United National Congress Constituency Executive sent out a statement. Well, if this is valid, condemning the statement by Mrs. Pasabi-Sessa and suggesting Basdio Pandy treated supporters as sheep. So it got so much confusion.
It'll get worse 1 year from now. Let's grab this call. Good morning.
Good morning, Power 102 FM. This is DJ Ray here in Tampa. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you, DJ Ray.
It's problem already with those two parties? Wow. I said no.
All righty. Thank you, DJ Ray out in Tampa. All the best here.
Thanks.
All right. Take care. All right.
Wayne Joseph says
out
no.
in Ontario, Canada says no. All right.
If Mrs. Pasabi-Sessa only know the person she provoked there, she's going to get a
She knows
barrage.
very well.
She going to get a barrage over the next few days.
She knows very well.
Oh gosh, this is too sweet. Mars versus Venus says no.
They have a long history together, you know. I know that, right?
They do.
They do.
All right. Gary was her Minister of National Security and National Security Advisor for a while.
Yes.
Then there was I don't know if a falling out, but Gary was very condemnatory of both Mrs. Pasabi-Sessa and Dr. Rowley.
Mm-hmm.
And then they reconciled the local government election.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are.
Yep.
Here we are.
Okay.
All right,
All
Kelvin.
right.
Mars versus Venus says no. All right, let's get into major news. Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Kamala Gowrie at odds over tribal politics. Oil spill spreads across Caribbean from Tobago to north to the Venezuelan coast. Over 2,000 passengers aboard 2 cruise ships docked in Trinidad and PlayStation to axe 900 jobs and close London studio. Details in a moment. This is News 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintil Bab. Good morning. A rift seems to be brewing between the opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar and National Transformation Alliance leader Gary Griffith, months after the National Transformation Alliance collaboration with the UNC for the local government elections. The two parties' leaders appear to have fallen out over the role of smaller parties. UNC leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar, speaking at the UNC's cottage meeting on Monday night, said the party welcomes entities and individuals seeking to join forces to unseat the ruling People's National Movement government. But she said their vision must align with the UNC's and bring something to the table. She said the party's supporters will not be disrespected by other parties or called sheep by those wishing to piggyback on the party's support base and resources. A report in the Trinidad Express newspaper this morning quotes NTA's head, Gary Griffith, as saying that Persad-Bissessar is not the problem, but she was, quote-unquote, fast and out of place to make comments about parties and their executive. He said further that the issue is UNC Senator Deputy Leader Jolie John, who believes the UNC has the mettle to win a general election on its own. Kamala Persad-Bissessar said smaller parties have to bring something to the table and not just a social media presence. She also refuted the notion that voting for the UNC or the PNM is tribal. Persad-Bissessar directed her message to smaller, newer political parties who accuse the UNC and PNM of tribal politics. The BBC is reporting oil leaking from a capsized barge off the coast of Tobago has spread hundreds of miles to reach Bonaire, located 50 miles north of the Venezuelan coast. Officials on Bonaire said the oil posed a serious threat to both humans and nature. The authorities on Bonaire warned the island's mangrove, fish, and coral ecosystem were at risk. 2 cruise ships have docked in Trinidad. They are Seven Seas Splendor with 709 cruise visitors and the Royal Caribbean's Jewel of the Seas with 2,344 passengers. 666 persons from the Jewel of the Seas and 587 from Seven Seas Splendor will enjoy their pre-booked tours or enjoyed it on Tuesday, while others would be entertained portside and would have the opportunity to explore the capital city and purchase crafts by our local artisans. Senior officers from the Port of Spain Division and the Community-Oriented Policing Section held discussions with principals and representatives from over 20 primary schools located in East Port of Spain during a priority meeting on Tuesday. The meeting, held at the Ministry of Education's regional office on Jerningham Avenue, Belmont, was in response to the recent increase in gang violence around schools in the area, including the murder of 11-year-old Ezekiel Paria, who was killed by a stray bullet last week. Senior Superintendent Hari Prasad Ramnarayan Acting Inspector Braffett, Sergeant Paris, and Corporal Thomas met with the educators to discuss intensifying efforts to protect students as well as staff. During the discussions, the principals expressed serious concerns over the safety of their schools, students, and staff who must commute daily through high-risk areas. Senior Superintendent Ram Narayan assured the principals the TTPS will intensify strategies to address the violence plaguing surrounding communities. He noted some of these measures would be to implemented from today, while additional proposed measures will be forwarded to the Commissioner of Police, Erla Hayward Christopher, for her approval. The principals praised the TTPS commitment to the safety of the students in the area and recognized the challenges they face in tackling this issue. Also in attendance were Ministry of Education officials, Ms. Tuitt, School Supervisor 2, and Mr. Wade Griffith, who oversees school safety. Senior Superintendent Ram Narayan agreed to continue to collaborate further, and a follow-up meeting with more stakeholders to develop solutions is scheduled for the upcoming weeks. A house fire in Laventille left 7 people homeless yesterday. According to reports, the fire began shortly after 1 p.m. at a house located at Fort Picton off Picton Road, Laventille. The house is divided into 2 apartments, with one family occupying an apartment upstairs, while 2 other relatives, Josiah and Sherilyn Felix, live below. 40-year-old Ojamon Price said he and his wife, Mavia Felix, live upstairs with their 3 children, ages 12, 11, and 1. He recounted that at 1 p.m. he was doing some tasks outside, but did not notice an out-of-control bushfire inching towards the property. He explained the bushfire first spread to a derelict wooden structure in the yard and quickly jumped to the main house. Price said that he had little choice but to call for help. The fire service arrived, but by the time the building had already been consumed, as officers encountered some difficulty getting to the house because of where it was located. However, they ensured that the fire did not spread to other homes in the community. Losses are put in the thousands. KFC lovers will now have to fork out more money for their favorite meal. This is because some price adjustments of between 3 to 5% have been implemented. The last price increase was in December 2023, which was between $1 to $2. This was confirmed by Prestige Holdings Chief Executive Officer Simon Hardy. Hardy explained that the price increase was due to the increase in minimum wage, which took effect on January 1st, as well as price increases from suppliers. He said the main jump for them was the minimum wage, as they employ 3,300 people. He said that they only made the changes on February 22nd, but inevitably a business such as theirs cannot, with an employee base such as the one they have, hold those prices forever. On Monday, Prestige Holdings Limited declared audited after-tax profits of $55.9 million for the financial year ended November 30th, 2023, an increase of 57.7% over the $35.5 million the restaurant earned for the same period in 2022. The general public is being advised the hunting season in Trinidad and Tobago is officially closed from today. This is in accordance with the Conservation of the Wildlife Act chapter, which states the closed season runs from April 1st to September 30th. Accordingly, a grace period throughout the month of March is allowed for the disposal of any prohibited meat articles during the closed season. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, Sony has announced it will lay off 8% of PlayStation staff globally, amounting to approximately 900 people. In addition to cuts in the US and Japan, the gaming giant said this would mean closing PlayStation's London studio entirely. In a blog post sharing an email sent to employees, boss Jim Ryan called the move sad news and said it was a difficult day for the company. The cuts come a month after rival Microsoft revealed plans to lay off 1,900 people in its gaming division, which included those that recently acquired Activision Blizzard. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, mostly sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions are expected, despite occasional cloudy patches with showers at times. Tonight will be fair apart from a few brief showers. Note there is a moderate concentration of Saharan dust in the atmosphere, and persons sensitive to this change in air quality are being strongly advised to take the necessary precautions. Expect a temperature high of 33 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 22 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 25 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, Kamala and Gary at odds over tribal politics. Oil spill spreads across the Caribbean from Tobago to north of the Venezuelan coast. Over 2,000 passengers aboard 2 cruise ships dock in Trinidad and PlayStation to axe 900 jobs and close the London studio. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news at 12 noon today and an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, AV, for major news. You can join her again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Is it I'm not seeing right or something is wrong? But let me just check. It is very light in San Fernando at this time. Extremely. Rivulet Road, you've got some volume. Traffic from Chaguanas, to the interchange and extension into Port of Spain, Piarco towards Huey. Chin Chin Road to Curep, you've got traffic. Eastern Main Road, various spots. Maraval, Diego Martin, you all got it. All right? All right, so let's see if we have more votes coming through here. Nothing there. Let's check WhatsApp. Sorry. Yep. Sorry, Wendell. Nothing there. All right. So we asked you, while we wait on our guest, Mr. Kelvin Morris, we asked, do you think the UNT and NTA will reconcile the differences in time for the 2025 general elections? Can't we all just get along?
All right, and this poll, of course, was neck and neck for a good while. And then the yeses took over, and then the noes caught back up and so on. But 19 people said yes, that they believe that they will reconcile their differences, and 16 said no. 19 said yes, they will. 16 said no. So I guess we could ask our guests and see if he could get it.
I got one more. I got Black Pearl. Black Pearl, what are you saying? Definitely no.
Oh, so that's 1970. Let's see where Mr. Morris, the THM minority leader, will take us.
Kelvin, what says you? And welcome to our breakfast show.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Wendell. Morning, Dr. Richards.
Morning, Kelvin.
I've always learned that a day in politics is a very long time, and I guess I'll leave it right there. But we tend not to get involved in the politics of others. But I would simply say a day in politics is a very long time.
Well, Mr. Griffith, the NTA political leader, has said that they are fielding 41 candidates, Mr. Morris, which means it will affect you in some way, or it may affect you in some way. You never know. And the UNC, correct me if I'm wrong, the UNC has not fielded candidates in Tobago for a while. Would that be correct?
Yes. You're so correct. The UNC
so it may mean that the NTA may be coming up against the PNM and the, what is Mr. Gustin's party?
The TPT or something, I think.
I don't want to misquote because I don't know about yourself. Tobago People's Party, is it?
Yes, the TPP, the Tobago's right. People Party.
Yeah, and any other party.
We welcome all comers. The more competition, the merrier. Give people more options. We're in a democratic society, so we welcome each and everyone to the Tobago space.
And we thought we'd focus on the Tobago space this morning, since Tobago has been in the news quite a bit in the last 2 to 3 weeks with the barge and the missing tugboat and the oil spill. Can you give us an update as to how that is going, the cleanup of the environment around Cove?
Well, thankfully, there seems to be some level of containment. Last information I got is that the leaking itself coming out from the vessel seems to have slowed down it drastically. So, as a matter of fact, in talking to the people at TIMA, they were saying that they have not really noticed any significant leaking over the past couple of days. So that is good news. There seems to be a level of containment. I also saw a press release coming out from the Ministry of Energy, which said that the hydrographic survey, which allows them to get a better understanding of what surrounds the vessel, what the vessel is resting on, and that kind of thing, to aid in the actual wrecking and in terms of recovering the vessel, that has been completed as well. So there seems to be some progress. I mean, when it comes to the actual cleanup, that in itself will take some time, because as the current and the high tide and low tide goes and comes and changes, that also affects what comes to surface. And therefore, there are a number of teams, volunteers on the ground trying to do the actual cleanup, but it is taking some time. It is taking a lot of effort and a lot of resources.
Go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead.
Morris, have you been consulted as minority leader? What is your involvement in terms of what is happening there with that particular oil spill?
Well, I was part of the press briefing held between the government and the Tobago House of Assembly. You would have seen that happen, I think, Carnival Sunday. Outside of that, the THA has not included me in terms of their response. I have done what I continue to do is have the discussions at the level of the coordinating team, TIMA, Ministry of Energy. I myself went personally and volunteered with respect to actual cleanup. So I got a first-hand feel of the kind of effort required to treat with actually removing the foul material. So it is, I can say personally, it is not an easy task. You know, it does take a lot of manual labor, and even in terms of the storage and all of that and the recovery, it is a lot of work.
I saw a report in the newspaper about a couple of businesses being adversely affected. How widespread has the negative impact been on businesses? My understanding is that is not necessarily a tourist side, but of course there has been some level of ecological damage. Has it affected businesses in the area? There was a particular road that was closed off because the sea was throwing the hydrocarbon onto the road. It was dangerous and stuff like that. I think one school or two schools may have been closed because of the smell and the possible impact on children and school administrators and teachers, etc.
Yes, so if you're familiar with that area is also where the Magdalena Grand Hotel is located. And as you would know, Magdalena is the largest hotel on the island. So in speaking with the general manager there, what I was told is that yes, they are getting the fumes are in fact affecting some guests, so they get some guest complaints, but nothing of significance. They continue to see quite good numbers in terms of hotel occupancy. There are some small businesses in terms of parlors, shops, and bars on that side as well in the Lambo area, and that because the road is closed off, of course, that will naturally affect their business. But I think the main persons affected in that area are the fishermen. As you know, Lambo is a fishing community, and therefore there is also a fishing depot located there, and they had to relocate the fishermen who normally ply their trade there. So naturally, they would have been affected in a significant way. What is challenging, what is of concern to me, however, it is when we speak directly to the education of our children, because as you would know, since the occurrence of the oil spill, Scarborough Secondary School, which is one of the largest secondary school on the island, as well as Lambo Primary School, those two schools have remained closed, and their learning has been significantly affected. As a matter of fact, I'm quite concerned that adequate contingencies have not been put in place, especially treat with the standard fours of Lambo and Lincoln, because the standard five, they have a contingency where I think they're reporting to the Tobago Information Center. But when it comes to the standard four, who they are also preparing and getting ready to go into standard five for the C exam, they are without any real learning material at this time. And Scarborough Secondary, I am being told that as much as the administration is saying there are provisions to have classes online, that is not happening. And parents are very concerned. Parents are calling me every day. I'm very concerned that nothing is in place. At one point, the chief secretary declared that the school would be reopened because the air quality test came back at a level that was normal for them to have the schools open, only to have parents and students show up, and they had to be turned back. So there needs to be some work where that is concerned in terms of ensuring we have some kind of contingency plan, some kind of contingency measure to treat with the learning and the teaching of our children.
So where, as it stands now, where are we now with the cleanup effort? How far is it from being completed?
Well, what I've been told, this is not an overnight, a 2 week or 1 month thing, because once the way how this happens in terms of once you have that significant kind of spill, it is not like the oil just washes ashore, you retrieve, and that's it. What would happen over time, you would continue even from the lower surface, would continue to rise to the top, and you would have more and more of what would have came out from the vessel coming to shore. So it's a continuous ongoing effort, because as you have high tide and low tide, it takes back some of the oil that is on the shoreline, and then it brings it back according to the current. Because as you would also know, even as we speak, we are now seeing some of that oil going out to going further away from Tobago, and even getting closer to places such as Venezuela and Grenada, etc. So it is a long, continuous process, but there are a number of companies, oil companies, assisting, a number of companies who specializes in oil spill and shipwreck and that kind of thing. They are also on the ground. So it's going to be a coordinated effort, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Magdalena Grande. The last time I was there, Magdalena Grande had I don't know if to call it an infestation, but a huge amount of sargassum was in the Magdalena Grande area. What has that been affected at all, or is that helping the situation?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the sargassum seaweed, because from my information, what I'm being told is that has in fact helped a lot in terms of sort of absorbing the hydrocarbon, which we now know is bunker fuel. So that has been absorbing the bunker fuel, and when that comes ashore, that makes it a little easier to treat with with retrieving, the material. So the sargassum has had some benefits.
Working. It's helping.
It's helping, and because you have the fuel, you're not getting the pungent scent of the seaweed as well. So all in all, that has not been a real issue at this point in time. And of course, Magdalena did do some work with respect to having that barrier to help with some of the accelerated erosion that was happening there. So Magdalena did do some work. So it sort of provides a sort of platform that keeps the seaweed from coming into the actual space where the tourists and so will use.
Is there any update on the location, the origin of the vessel? We spoke to Conrad Wendell yesterday, High Commissioner of TNT to Guyana, and he said the new information he gave us is that it came from Aruba, but we have no idea if that's confirmed or. But Mr. Wendell would not say that if he didn't get accurate information, and if there's any updated information on where the vessel that would have been pulling the barge would have ended up.
Paul, so based on the information, I continue to depend on the information coming out from the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of National Security. And based on my most recent discussions with both the Minister of Energy and Minister of National Security, there seems to be no definitive confirmation on both in terms of the ownership registration of the vessel. And what we know for certain as of now is that the vessel left Aruba, I think it was, and was en route to Guyana. There's a lot of speculation in this space, but I tend not to be one wanting to rely on speculation. I prefer to have factual information. I know there's an investigation going on, but meanwhile, there are a number of persons doing their own personal investigation and coming up with their own conclusions. I tend to want to allow the reputable persons to do their work, and as the information comes to us through those sources, then I prefer to speak. But in terms of secondary information coming from persons doing Google search and all that, I prefer to await a credible source to take my information from.
And what about cocaine? We have cocaine added to the mix. Any update on that?
Well, again, the Minister of National Security did say there's no concrete correlation between the vessel and that package that was found. What you had is a coincidence in that you had this package in around the vicinity where the vessel came, but there's nothing concrete because, as I said, there has been a hydrographic survey and there seemed not to be anything else like that around the vessel. So it's only when we are able to retrieve the vessel and there's a proper, thorough survey and thorough visit of the vessel, we get an idea as to exactly what is in that vessel, and then perhaps conclusively we would know whether there were additional business happening, because we know for certain there was some element of bunker fuel being stored in the vessel. We would get a better idea what else perhaps.
Isn't that a wonderful coincidence? A mystery vessel sails into the waters of Tobago, pulling a barge. Nobody knew where it come from. Nobody knew where it was going. The one that pulling the vessel disappeared. Nobody knew where it gone. It's gone off the map. IMO think it can't be found. The vessel crashed off Tobago. Nobody can claim it. $1 million worth of cocaine washed up on the shore. Nobody knew where it come from. What an interesting series of coincidences.
But Paul, I must admit, I am concerned, that all this series of events would have transpired. I mean, if we are to accept that the vessel was really just transiting and en route to Guyana, then it makes all of us concerned as to the kind of activities that takes place in and around, our shores. And of course, especially
if the captain of the tugboat don't want to be found, because they clearly don't want to be found. They don't want to be found. It suggests they were engaged in some sort of illicit activity, like illegal cocaine, like illegal bunkering, diesel, or whatever it is.
So in a situation like this, where you can't find owner, you can't find worker, there's no sight of any human involvement at this time. It is one for extreme concern, and therefore, we all have to be vigilant going forward. Unfortunately, the vessel happened to wreck upon the shores of Tobago. Thankfully, it happened in an area that is not as ecologically exposed and sensitive as the Boko Marine Park and Pigeon Point, and even as far up northeast as Scarborough in terms of the port. So the port missed it by, they were very close, and had the spill actually get into that zone of the port, it would have meant a major disaster for the people of Tobago, be it both with respect to our tourism sector and the cruise ship, as well as our daily survival in terms of cargo being able to come to Tobago to sustain our livelihood and our well-being.
As you raise the issue of the cruise ships, Mr. Morris, how has that been affected at all, and how is that going so far in Tobago?
As I said, thankfully, that has not been affected. So even in the midst of the disaster, we were able to welcome I think within a couple of days after, we welcomed one of the larger cruise ships on island. And in fact, based on the information coming out from the Port Authority and even the Ministry of Tourism and the Tobago Tourism Agency, there has been an uptick in the number of cruise calls for the month of January and February, and it has been one of the better years. I had issue to take with the secretary, however, because in the way it was reported, because what the secretary did to perhaps gloss over a challenge we are having in terms of international arrivals, not being able to bring to island as many tourists as we normally would. She would have lumped the cruise ship arrivals with international arrivals and put it out as record-breaking tourist arrivals. And as you know, there's significant difference between a tourist or a passenger coming to island via cruise ship and a tourist coming to island to stay overnight via international and sea being using the yachties and that kind of thing. They would stay a longer period. They would spend more as well, because the average spend for a cruise ship passenger is about $40 US, whereas the average spend internationally accepted for an international tourist is about 150 US. So I took issue with that kind of commingling of the numbers, because both paints a different picture.
Yeah.
I know Tobago is dealing with an issue of an uptick in violence, especially gun violence. And I saw a news clip last night with Ayanna Webster Roy raising the issue and, taking Tobago back, so to speak, if you wanted to give a theme of this speech. Are there, is the TTPS making any inroads? I know they were trying to pay more and more attention to the gun violence that seems to have now reached Tobago shores in a very tangible way, with several murders taking place late last year and even continuing throughout this year. Are there any inroads being made in, de-escalating the violence that we're seeing?
Well, interestingly, just last week at our plenary session, the Chief Secretary did bring a motion for us to discuss the issue of crime, and that motion did receive unanimous support, because I took the position as minority leader that crime is everybody's business. Crime is not an issue for us to. Yes, there will be areas where you may feel the government or the THA can do more or can do better. but at the same time, it requires an all hands on deck kind of approach, because one person being murdered is one person too much. And in fact, crime can come home to the door of anyone. I don't think criminal determines that he's going to take a UNC or a PNM or a red or a black. They are just about bringing mayhem. And therefore, in the Tobago space, we are saying we are taking a zero tolerance to criminals. Anyone want to involve themselves in criminal activity, you are not our friends in Tobago. And therefore, with respect to the TTPS, what we recognize is that there needs to be greater collaboration between the THA, the arms of state responsible for security enforcement. But also, I've always said, crime also has a social footprint to it, and therefore it also requires social intervention. So there are many things that the Tobago House of Assembly can do to impact crime even before persons get to the point of involving themselves in criminal activity, because the more you lessen the opportunity, criminals really get effective when there is opportunity. So what we need to do is limit the opportunity of young people to be interested in crime. So if we are engaging them in the right way, if there's enough sporting, community-based event, youth events, if we are able to treat with some of the social problems in the homes where families are unable to provide adequately for themselves, if we are able to deal with parental skills and those kind of social interventions, I believe that it will go a long way in impacting and in steering our young people away from especially gang, because I think the gang activity is what is really propagating the kind of criminal activity we're seeing across Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. I'm not too sure if a lot of that crime is migrating, that we're seeing now in Tobago, is migrating from Trinidad, and that the Trinidad criminal network is now expanding in Tobago in a more tangible way, or if it's homegrown in Tobago. I don't think there's been an analysis of that.
What based on the intelligence coming from the police and they're in conversation with them, what they are saying to me is that it's not that we're saying Trinidadians are coming to Tobago and commit crime, but we are seeing the influence, as you say, of the gang activity, the 6 and the 7, migrating to Tobago, in terms of Tobagoans getting involved in that kind of arrangement and forming themselves along those lines. And therefore, you see, that is what is part of what is really driving the sort of gun violence on the island at this time. So it is about really getting to the bottom of suppressing that kind of thing and engaging the young people in a way that they are not so inclined to get involved in that gang activity.
Are you satisfied with the response of the TTPS so far in trying to get a handle on the matter? Because Tobago is so tourist oriented, it's obviously a huge problem. I mean, other small island states in the Caribbean are also battling with an upsurge in violence. And of course, it affects very directly your tourism product. So are you personally satisfied with the TTPS response in dealing with it?
Well, there's always room for improvement. And to sit here and say that I'm completely satisfied, I would, it's definitely not that way. But of course, I know the Tobago division led by ACP Collis Hazel, they are in fact doing their best. They've ramped up efforts. I must say I've seen greater police presence. There's an area right in Scarborough that I myself have some concern. And in fact, that area has been known for a number of shootings recently. And I would like to definitely see some initiative taken directly that would not encourage the kind of activities you see there, the number of persons commingling, drinking, and other nefarious activities that seem to be attracting that space. I would hope that going forward, there's continued police presence in that space right along the Dutch Fort area there, which is obliquely opposite the port. And therefore, as we talk about tourism, because a number of tourists come to Tobago via the port and via our ferry, fast ferry. So I would really like to see some a greater effort, greater presence placed there to deter persons from really commingling around that space and to deter the activities that perhaps are going on there.
Yeah. You know, on a separate issue, I'm just curious. Are we talking tourism and the tourism product in Tobago as a part of it too, as part of the conversation? The issue of the new terminal. I'm never sure when I come to Tobago, is that new terminal already being built? Is it like 45% complete? Is it 60%? I have no clue. I can't tell. And I don't know if you can shed some light on whether there is any progress being made with regard to that terminal, because I cannot tell when I'm there.
So the information I have is that, in fact, the project is significantly advanced in terms of time. I cannot tell you whether we are 50, 45, so I do not have that information. But what I've been told by persons I know who are providing service there is that they are in fact ahead of schedule. And if we follow the timelines, I believe the schedule of delivery, and I don't want to put a guess, but it will be early 2025, based on the last schedule I have. So it means that we are not very far off. A lot of the infrastructure that is required have already been put down. So you have all your water lines, electrical lines, and that kind of thing, infrastructure already in place. So I guess the final phase would be the actual completion of the superstructure, which is the actual terminal building. But in terms of the road infrastructure, the electrical, plumbing, and all those other details, those things have been done and completed. So I expect that in terms of going forward, the superstructure, that perhaps would be the final phase of the construction of the terminal, which we welcome, by the way. I think it has been something that everyone in the tourism space have been clamoring for, because when you listen to the international, some of the feedback you get with respect to the providers, airlines, and the tour operators is that many persons complain about the inability to get a quality first-class type lounge, and which we do not currently have. So this would help us in terms of attracting more airlines. And of course, with this, we also need the investment in our accommodation, because airlines and accommodation and airports have a sort of incestuous relationship.
Right.
One influences the other.
Yeah, it's all interconnected, which brings me to
It's
my
all
other
interconnected.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Which brings me to another question. The issue of accommodation and the investment in hotel stock in Tobago. I know when the Sandals fell through, that deal fell through, because of, I think but Stuart at the time just felt it was too much bacchanal and confusion in terms of the politics in Trinidad. And I know the Pub Breakfast Show was pretty much for it. And if I remember Wendell, I think we were pretty much for it.
Definitely.
And I remember Dr. Rowley at the time indicating that they were going to go after other providers, other big mega operators of hotels as a substitute to Sandals. But you never heard anything else really taking place with regard to that. And you know, the rest of the Caribbean and certainly Ghana is not stopping, because recently I know there's a Qatari investment in Ghana of 300 million US into a resort in the Ghana, and it had me thinking of, good God, all of that money and investment. What is Trinidad and Tobago doing? And of course, the more obvious island for that kind of investment in a resort is Tobago. And so it got me thinking, how do we have large investments taking place in Tobago to interconnect with what you're just talking about, Kelvin, with regard to the hotel improvement, and because you should have that also happening.
Correct. So we are on the same page. I'm quite concerned that For me, I too believe that Sanders would have been a game changer. We've seen St. Vincent, they are up in arms celebrating because they, I think within the next month, will be welcoming their first Sandals. And it means that all the other competing islands, they are stepping up their game when it comes to accommodation. And Tobago at this time, when we do the analysis, we are really lagging behind. I know we did have, as you would recall, the Marriott investment at Rocky Point. That was announced just before the last election. I've not heard much of it coming out from this administration as to the status. I've not seen much movement. We also heard the Chief Secretary talk about an investment coming out at the Killigrew, which is a private investment on the Killigrew area. We were told many times that there would be some sub-turning. That sub-turning has not happened. And I'm concerned about the Chief Secretary's ability to actually drive this FDI thrust that Tobago needs when it comes to accommodation, because the Chief Secretary has gone now to many trade shows. He went to the World Trade Show that happens in World Travel Market in the United Kingdom on 2 occasions. He has gone to the ITB in Germany on 2 occasions. And on all those trips, you would think a Chief Secretary being the main salesman and if he had the kind of skills that would attract people, then he would come back to Tobago and said, I was able to leverage Tobago's natural beauty and all the various properties and space that Tobago still has available, prime for accommodation investment. I was able to have 2 or 3 persons show interest, and we have not had those kind of announcements. So it tells me that the Chief Secretary himself is a poor salesman, and perhaps that is why we are seeing such lack of investment coming in to the Tobago space when it comes to accommodation. And the truth be told, this is something that should be priority number 1 when it comes to our tourism trust. We really need the kind of accommodation to compete. When you look at Barbados, Jamaica, St. Lucia, even Grenada right next door, Silver Sands, Grenada has Royalton. And even I was talking to a friend of mine recently who is averse to us having all-inclusive hotels because they believe all-inclusive does not present the kind of opportunities for the tour operators on island. I said to him, in a real sense, we have to have mixed options, because you can't be one track. You cannot have just the Castara model where the backpackers come and stay in a guest house or an Airbnb, but you also need those persons who want to have that experience where I can pay a package and enjoy the fullness of that package, but they would still come out at some point. And even in terms of that, what they do, they are mass drivers of airline seats, but not everyone who's coming on the airline is coming for an all-inclusive experience. It just means that you create greater access to the island. And some people would come to go all-inclusive, some people would come to go the traditional hotel, and some people would come to enjoy the very indigenous Castara model where you go into the communities and immerse yourself in the cultural experience.
Kelvin, I just wanted to touch a bit on the issue and your views on the carnival. The carnival in October, one that has started, and the carnival in the normal space that Trinidad and Tobago enjoys. What are your views on that? These 2 carnivals that Tobago is attempting to do.
Well, let me say this, Wendell. I've been always a proponent and advocate for Tobago having a carnival that is specific to generating tourist interest and in attracting tourism arrivals, international tourism arrival, domestic tourism arrivals. Initially, and I must admit, I believe that once we get to that place of having that carnival established, then perhaps we may have to review how Tobago participates in the national carnival. And I say review because it should never be that we have a national event and Tobago is exercised from that. But perhaps we can scale along the involvement of Tobago in a way that would afford us to do other things or promote the island differently. So I've always said, for me, the investment, the focus should go into building this Tobago standalone carnival, but at the same time ensuring we preserve that cultural experience that comes with the national carnival. Because ultimately, when you listen to a number of the stakeholders, the national event affords those traditional mass makers a greater sense of input, because they are able to really, that is where they are able to express creativity. Whereas the Tobago Carnival seems to be a more commercial oriented venture, which means that some of those persons do not find a space in that carnival. And therefore, we need to be able to provide that balance of having the culture preserved while at the same time being able to leverage a product that can bring people to island.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any
Well,
more?
well, I was
Go
going to
ahead,
say,
Richard.
if you're willing to take some calls from our listeners in case they have any
Sure.
questions, we're going to open up the lines for
Sure,
amongst
certainly,
more.
certainly.
So we're open up our lines at this point. Of course, we're speaking to Kelvin Morris, THA Minority Leader. 222 Talk, 222-8255. North Americans, of course, you can also call it 866-525-1099. Absolutely toll free. So, of course, we're talking to Tobago this morning. You may have some questions, and so this is your opportunity to be interactive with Mr. Morris. So 222 Talk, 222-8255.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking I'm looking at the Paul sent the protocol list this morning. And I know that the chief secretary is pretty high on the protocol list, but strange enough, I didn't see the minority leader on that list. You had to fix that, Kelvin. You had to make some moves to get that fixed.
I would make representation on behalf of the office, but the individual has no kind of desire to be recognized.
Might have one way to fix it. You have one major way to fix it.
What's that way, Paul?
Become the chief secretary.
Yeah.
That's the significant way to fix
You're
it.
too far from that, you know.
Even so, that as minority leader is not an automatic place to the seat of chief secretary. You also have to be leader of a party, which I'm not.
Yeah, I always thought that also needed to be fixed too. I know at the time you were young in the business and thing, and you didn't feel you were ready, but I think you are, actually. I think you've always been, but you know me. I just get in trouble for my mouth.
How is Tobago's economy doing generally?
That is a serious issue, and you would hear Dr. Vanos James speak on it from time to time, but Tobago is really at a stagnated position. In fact, it's at a serious decline. When you listen to business people speak, and I don't know if you're familiar with one Demi-John Cruikshank, who is the vice chair of the Tobago Chamber at this time. And he would tell you, as we speak, there are a number of foreclosures on prominent Tobago businesses at this time. More than foreclosures, there are a number of court action where people would have taken some contractors and so to court and would have gotten judgment against them regarding funds being owed. Because as you know, the THA, as part of their trust coming out of COVID, did embark on some infrastructural programs with respect to road rehabilitation, access roads, and so forth. And that would have amounted to about a bill of about $250 to $300 million. The administration, upon coming into office, had some concerns as to how the contracts were awarded and in terms of the value of the works. And they would have put commission and a forensic audit. That audit took inundatedly long. In fact, it's still going on. I have said it's perhaps the longest audit I've ever seen in my life, because it's now 2 years and counting, and they have only gotten to 2 completed audits. And if an audit firm is taking 2 years to do an audit, is either something is wrong with the firm or something is wrong with the audit, because I cannot see what would have you taking so long. And this has really crippled the Tobago economy, because these contractors also, there's a ripple effect. They owe the hardwares who would have given them credit. They also owe workers who would have worked. They also owe subcontractors who would have provided services, and therefore it is widespread in terms of how this has stymied growth in the Tobago economy. We also have a dynamic where the major construction, infrastructural development that has happened since this administration, they have all gone outside of Tobago. And we are not saying that we are Trinidad and Tobago, and where opportunities lie, where Tobago perhaps don't have the capacity. Of course, we look to service providers throughout the country to provide those opportunities. But where there are opportunities where the Tobago contractors have the capacity, if you're really trying to build an economy in a significant way, then perhaps you need that localized input. Because when you have that localized input, you affect the economy in a more significant and direct way, because we are talking about you hiring workers that are Tobago based, you hiring equipment, service providers, the truckers, the excavator owner, and all those people, and they too then filter into the system, because they have to also go to the groceries, they have to go to the bars, they have to also be able to hire workers and all that. So you're impacting the economy in a broader way when you do that. So you have the issue where you have failed to pay the contractors the outstanding money, and the development funding that you have had, most of it has gone outside of Tobago. So that has crippled the economy in a very, very serious and significant way.
We do have a call here, so let's. Oh yeah, we lost it. Okay.
Kelvin Morris, thank you so much. Are you heading to the conference today again?
Yes, I am in Trinidad for the next couple of days, treating with this regional workshop on public accounts committee. And it's significant that I'm here because I am the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee for the Tobago House of Assembly. Unfortunately, as we would have heard in the sessions yesterday, like so many of our regional parliaments, with the legislature in Tobago, we've not been able to have our Public Accounts Committee up and running the way that I would have hoped. So I'm hoping that going forward, coming out of this, we'll be in a better position to effect that committee and have the kind of hearings and inquiries that will redound to the benefit of the people of Tobago and good governance. I see Paul doing. But it is really, really important that we have that committee up and running, because it is important that we are able to have the kind of transparency and accountability when it comes to the spending of public monies.
Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you so much. All the best to you.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
All right. Take care.
All right.
You all have a great day. I gotta run. Be safe.
We noticed you all suited up.
He's dandied up.
Dandied.
Yeah.
We'll have to
represent him. He is on the protocol. Listen, don't forget this. He's there.
Not all of us can be pretty. What can I say? Have a great day.
Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go.
I'm just reminding people that theater's on this weekend, Saturday and Sunday at Queen's Hall, with a brand new comedy called Love is a Walk. Tickets available at all the usual outlets and at Queen's Hall. Tickets already selling at the Queen's Hall box office since over the weekend. So the Queen's Hall box office opens from, I believe, 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. So you can get tickets at Queen's Hall, and of course you can get tickets at all our usual outlets: K Squared Fashions, West Mall and Eastgate, and Tony's Florals and Val Park Shopping Plaza, just below Val Park Chinese Restaurant, Creme Fresh at Brentwood Mall in Chagona, Shavle Auto Services, Jabili Rawi in Chinapuna, Electronics in Arima, Crosby's in St. James, Electronics in Arima, I said that already. So yeah, that's where you can get tickets. To give you an idea of some of the outlets, you can also purchase them online. You can check RR Productions Theater page on social media, and you can get all of the information. So looking forward to it. We're having so much fun. Releases are a little late every single night, but we're having fun. So
All righty.
we're on this weekend at Queen's Hall, our brand first new play of 2024.
All right. Thank you, Richie Rich. You have a good day. Speaking to you guys bright and early. Come tomorrow morning, Thursday, where it will be the 29th